Terrible monsters from the depths of the earth attack the whole world, turning people into beasts. The survivors are forced to fight them to save humanity from complete annihilation. The action of the film begins in the future, on the shore of a secluded island, where a young girl stands frozen at the water's edge with a sword at the ready. She looks at a solitary figure, frozen in the distance, on the ridge of a hill. The story shifts to the past. In a brief historical retrospective, it is explained that one day a rift opened in the ground known as the Seam. From there emerged monsters called world destroyers. The men engaged them in battle but were losing because wounds from the destroyers turned them into monsters called hybrids. Then, instead of men, women went into battle, as they had a higher immunity to the destroyers' wounds. Led by a brave general resembling a reincarnation of Joan of Arc, the women defeated the monsters and sealed the breach. All this is part of the story that the father tells his daughter Willa. According to the man, periodically in human history, a cataclysm occurs. The next invaders attack to destroy them. But always after a period of devastation comes a revival. The enemies are defeated. People rejoice. However, the girl, the daughter of that victorious general, does not want to hear the story repeated 100 times. Instead, she wants a tale about the mythical lumberjack and hero Kodiak who fought the destroyers alone. According to legends, he single-handedly defeated a whole 100 opponents. On Willa's 15th birthday, her father and mother give her knitted gifts, a hat and a dog, which the girl with childlike spontaneity names a bear. The celebration is interrupted by the arrival of soldiers under the mother's command. It turns out that another seam has opened, and now civilians need to evacuate from the city to a safe place, while the women's battalions will go to defend the borders of the motherland. During the loading into the truck bed, they initially don't want to take the father. What if he turns into a hybrid during the move? Nevertheless, the lame veteran manages to convince the escort that he is fine. Being well acquainted with the symptoms and the threat hybrids pose, the father swears he will be the first to suggest shooting himself if anything happens. During the trip, the women soldiers discuss that men are more primitively structured compared to them, and therefore more prone to infection and transformation. Willa stands up for her father, who, according to her, fought side by side with Kodiak himself. However, her companions do not believe in the existence of the legendary hero. The father himself prefers to remain silent, avoiding unnecessary arguments. Dozing off on the road, Willa wakes up when the convoy stops. Gunshots are heard outside. Destroyers have attacked. One of the monsters punches a hole in the canvas truck bed, dragging a victim outside. Fleeing, civilians climb out of the truck bed. Father and Willa crawl under the truck to hide. Crawling under the vehicle, they come across a couple of equally smart refugees. But they were less fortunate. The monsters reached them with their greedy tentacles. A destroyer peeks under the truck, noticing Willa with her father, but then a battle-ready mom comes to the rescue. Having emptied a magazine into the creature, she decapitates it with her service sword. After pulling the family out, the mother instructs the father and daughter to walk to the coast and cross to a secluded island where they have a summer house. It's safe there, and she will join them as soon as she finishes her business. On the way, they pass by an injured man, ready to turn into a hybrid. A guard with a machine gun stood over him to stop the deserter. In the forest, soldiers are preparing to hold the defense to delay the destroyers. The civilians continue their journey in proud solitude. At dawn, the father and daughter reach the old pier where a motorboat is parked, but before they can launch it, a mysterious stranger with a gun and a wound on his shoulder appears. Under the threat of the weapon, he demands to be taken with them, away from here. The father suggests to the stranger to walk to the parked car, where fuel for the boat is hidden in the trunk, while the girl guards the vessel. Approaching the car, the dad takes a knife out of his pocket. Soon he returns to Willa, carefully hiding a pistol in his pocket, and lies that the bad man, frightened by the noise in the forest, cowardly ran away. Then they climb aboard and sail towards the island. A year passes. Wandering through the island's expanses, Willa admires the explosions rumbling on the mainland. Noticing a seagull that had built a nest in the coastal rocks, she, risking a fall, makes her way there along the steep wall to feast on fresh eggs. She leaves only one for breeding, the right approach if you think about it. Willow returns to the house where she wishes the superfoods where her bearded father is chopping wood. When she shows her catch, the man expresses dissatisfaction that his daughter risked her life. In response, the girl says she is already old enough to serve in the army and fight the destroyers. Then the father suggests a test sparring. A convincing defeat of the smug young warrior ends with the training sword breaking, a sword shattered by the block named Raskolnikov on the axe handle. In the evening, to pass the time and loneliness, the father tells another story about Kodiak, how he was felling trees and then saw an open rift and went to fell the destroyers. It was Kodiak who became the first person to kill a destroyer and taught others to chop off their heads. Considering the details that Dad knows about the mythical hero, Willow suspects that he is the lumberjack. The next day, while the father is mining the approaches on the beach so that uninvited guests do not sneak up unnoticed, the girl collects stones. Then they stare through binoculars at the destroyers who have occupied the mainland coast. According to the father, they do not suspect that anyone is on the island, otherwise they would have already crossed the strait to give a beating. He also says that the hybrids are telepathically connected to the invading monsters, acting as scouts during the incubation period. After that, the islanders head into the forest where Willow goes through an obstacle course for time, part of the training for a future fighter against the destroyers. The father tirelessly urges the girl on, even though she falls face first into the mud. In the end, he makes her swing a wooden sword, practicing beheading monsters. After the first round, without giving her a chance to catch her breath, the man pushes her to go for a second round. The enemies will not wait. In the evening, after working in the garden, the father brings Willow a reward for her efforts in training, a few strawberries miraculously surviving on the island. While she enjoys them, the ancestor tells her that her mother loved strawberries so much that they even had a strawberry cake at their wedding. One day, while replenishing water supplies near the waterfall, Willow notices the figure of another teenage girl wandering along the beach. Seeing Willow, the visitor runs towards her. Remembering that the beach is mined, the islander runs to meet her to stop the stranger at the last moment. She had already triggered the tripwire, but hadn't set it off yet. Asking the guest to step back, Willow leads her to one of the coastal caves where she has set up a den. Settled inside, the girls talk. It turns out the newcomer is named Rosie. She, her father and brother tried to sail away from the mainland, but their boat was overturned by destroyers. After hitting her head, Rosie lost contact with her relatives, and then the current carried her to the shores of the island. And now she is here all alone, lost, frightened, and with a bruised head. On her way home, Willow suddenly hears a voice calling her name. It turns out to be the mother who arrived on the island. She says that her daughter must urgently join the armed forces to repel the enemies. Willow remembers her father, but at that moment the mother starts yelling at her and bleeding from her eyes. The symptom of turning into a hybrid. It turns out to be a nightmare. Waking up in the cave, the girl leaves Rosie, her tied-up bear dog, and runs back home so her father doesn't suspect anything. Worried about his daughter, he is all on edge and meets her with a gun in his hands. Willow remembers seeing a weapon with the man who threatened them a year ago near the boat. It's the evening. She wonders if he killed destroyers and hybrids. Would he be able to kill a person? The father admits that he would do it if someone threatened his family. He also says that they have few supplies, the canned food is almost gone, and they can't survive on the garden in these conditions. Waking up in the middle of the night, Willow steals several cans of food to take to Rosie's cave. Apparently, she blissfully ignored her father's words about the food shortage. She also shows her new friend a photo album depicting a happy life before the invaders came. She also tells a story about Kodiak, and as a farewell, gives Rosie her knitted hat. Rosie has a head wound and needs warmth. The next day, an inspired Willow goes through the obstacle course again. Without making a single mistake, she sets her own speed record, after which her father suggests a training match with a hybrid, which he himself portrays. However, during the event, he suddenly feels unwell and collapses. A frightened girl gives him water to bring him to his senses. Willow leads her father back to the house where he admits that she is finally ready to fight. The man takes out a real sword. He promised his wife that he would give it to their daughter only when she was ready. The next morning, the girl leaves the house under the pretext of checking the rabbit traps. She herself goes to the cave, where instead of her friend she finds torn gifts, a hat and a dog named Bear. Rosie is a little further away, sitting on all fours. She has turned into a terrifying hybrid and attacks Willow. In an instant, forgetting everything her father taught her, the girl falls under the onslaught of the monster looming above. At this moment, the fighter appears in the cave with a gun. He shoots at the hybrid, but the bullets don't affect the creature, only slow it down. When the monster comes closer, the man uses a sword hidden in his cane to stab, having knocked off Rosie's head, damaging the brain and thus destroying it. After ensuring that his daughter is not injured or infected, the father says they need to leave immediately. The hybrid has already sent a telepathic signal to the destroyers and they will be here soon. The problem is that the boat is parked on the other side of the island. They hurry there, but on the way decide to take a break in the middle of the island to rest. Willow falls asleep in her father's arms, having listened to his stories. When the girl wakes up, they continue their journey. They caem tafi, pădătesc to cross a chasm with a tree laid across it. Remembering her training, Willow easily makes it to the other side. Turning around, she sees a hybrid, the brother of the late Rosie, sneaking up on her father. Willow chops off the monster's head, but even so, it is still able to move and fight. Only when the father crushed the severed head with the brain did the hybrid stop functioning and fell right into the crevice. Soon they hear the roar of another hybrid. The father of the slain monsters is pursuing them. Willow is forced to fight as her own father is weakened by the long journey. Drawing her sword, the girl waits for the attacking hybrid to dodge at the right moment and on the turn split its skull. Continuing on, the pair reaches a slope overlooking the bay where a boat is moored. They hear the explosions of mines on the shore and the roar of arriving destroyers, after which the man tells his daughter to go down and set sail. He will hold off the monsters. It turns out that he was wounded and will soon become a hybrid himself. Willow runs down while her father prepares to fight his last battle with samurai-like resignation. Below, the girl unsuccessfully tries to push the heavy boat, but it keeps getting stuck on logs. Realizing she has nowhere to go, Willow draws her sword ready to fight. At that moment, she hears the roar of approaching engines. Several boats with soldiers rush to the island, led by her mother. The father, bleeding from the eyes and losing human consciousness, seeing that help is near, turns to face the approaching pack of destroyers with his sword raised, and at this moment the film ends.